The spring thunderstorm that hissed across the Potomac sounded like distant camera shutters to Nova Kinsley, who sat hunched behind the wheel of a silver rental Hyundai 2 blocks from Meridian House. She checked the countdown on her phone, 2:49 until cellular blackout, then lifted the tablet glowing in her lap. A final torrent of encrypted packets slid into a hidden directory. When the progress bar hit 100%, the screen froze on a still frame. Sean P. Diddy Combs, in an ivory tux, shoulder to shoulder with former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, all three laughing beside a row of black Pelican cases stamped DOS, Econf. Nova exhaled, fogging the windshield, and wondered if anything in Washington would survive sunrise once she published. She killed the engine and stepped onto Massachusetts Avenue's rain-slick sidewalk, wind flipping her trench coat like an impatient editor flipping pages. At the mansion gate, a Secret Service Uniform Division officer in plain black mask scanned invitations. Nova's forged QR code chirped green. He waved her through. Inside, violet LED ribbons coiled across marble arches, and a bad boy remix of I'll Be Missing You reverberated in the ribs. $1,000 bought the wristband. 1,000 secrets bought the silence. Tonight, rumored insiders said, Diddy would premiere Night Choir, part performance, part pact, part extortion portfolio for the powerful who believe themselves untouchable. Nova's recorder pulsed in her pocket like a second heartbeat. Through mirage heat of alcohol and cologne, she noted the constellation of the Republic's real royalty. Barack Obama deep in muted conversation with Beyoncé. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell holding a bourbon slush while Nancy Pelosi and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez exchanged a showy air kiss by the West Stair. Elon Musk arguing orbital debris policy with Mark Zuckerberg beside a floor-to-ceiling tank of translucent jellyfish imported for ambience. Cameras were forbidden, phones sealed in velvet sleeves, and yet every third guest wore a telltale lapel pine cone, the calling card of Shadowcast, a boutique intel startup that specialized in memorizable optics, meaning what happened here would live compressed, but vivid inside human witnesses who could be summoned later for leverage. Diddy himself emerged atop a mirrored DJ riser at 12:01 a.m., a mic in one hand, antique cognac in the other. His grin belonged to a man who had successfully convinced 2 generations that pleasure was a virtue in itself. He raised a glass. "Welcome to the hinge of history," he purred. Lights dimmed. Spot rigs traced the room, fastening briefly on Silicon Valley titans, cable news magnates, 3 governors, a Supreme Court spouse, and at least 1 CIA deputy director disguised as a hedge fund lawyer. Diddy lowered his voice, but the wireless carried it everywhere. Tonight, we tune a new frequency. Listen close. Music bled away. A single cello drifted overhead, amplified through Dolby arrays, plucking the theme from House of Cards. Laughter rippled. Nova inched toward a cluster where Lindsey Graham was boasting to a circle of boutique PR fixers about killing an amendment that might have required publicly traded companies to list entertainment expense deductions above $50,000. One fixer joked, "Imagine that line item, presidential-level cabana service, $8.2 million. Graham grinned. "Transparencies for C-SPAN, baby. Grown-ups prefer mood lighting." Suddenly, every chandelier blinked twice, and 3 projection walls blossomed with archival party footage. Yacht decks off St. Barth's where Joe Biden, still an ex-vice president in cargo shorts, clinked bottles with Jay-Z. A Palm Springs estate where Donald Trump scrawled, "Make it rain" on a champagne crate for a charity auction moderated by Kanye West. A Doja Cat anniversary set in which Kamala Harris, then California's junior senator, danced the Cupid Shuffle with half the Bay Area tech lobby. Gasps, cheers, then hush. The video montage cut to live drone cam feed, sweeping the ballroom itself, carving faces from the shadow. On-screen overlays tagged each VIP with net worth tickers, campaign finance totals, and, newly for tonight, overnight wire transfers from the Pentagon's miscellaneous contingency fund routed through festival wellness subcontractors. While the audience processed the bridge from nostalgia to self-incrimination, Diddy's stage rotated, revealing a crescent of leather armchairs and 4 silver briefcases mounted on pedestals flanked by the gold-masked twins Nova recognized from gossip blogs as the archivists, 2 former Mossad freelancers who now curated compromat for the super-rich. The leftmost briefcase opened automatically. Inside lay 30 blue biometric key cards, each embossed with a presidential seal and a single word: obligado. Diddy spoke again, softer. Tonight, we dispense not invitation, but indemnity. Swipe one of these and nobody in this room leaves hungry. Nova's pocket comm vibrated. The forensic coder she'd left outside in a Starbucks was scraping the building's Wi-Fi. A line of text scrolled across her smartwatch. Live transfers, HHS. Black Star Media Fund, $297 million. She turned and saw Donald Trump striding toward the roped VIP mezzanine, red tie replaced by noir black satin, flanked by Rudy Giuliani and Kim Kardashian, the latter rumored to be negotiating federal clemency for a new wave of nonviolent offenders. Trump spotted Elon Musk and barked. Elon, ever consider launching a constellation that blocks subpoenas instead of satellites? Musk laughed, counter-suggesting rockets that delivered subpoenas at Mach 5T. The central bar, Joe Biden, now president, moonlighting in Ray-Bans, whispered to Jill, "Remember, we're only here for 15 Majorca time." Jill deadpanned, clocks ticking, champ, and signaled a staffer to ease them toward the east corridor where holography exhibit promised plausible exit. Beyoncé performed a stage whisper duet with Vice President Harris on whether oat milk wash bourbon could save the dairy lobby. In a quieter anteroom, Hillary Clinton studied a digital map of voting machine vendors overlaid with gift bag delivery routes and murmured, "So this is how the cool kids fund precinct captains." Air shifted. The door to the library vault clicked open, and Obama, tireless, sauntered out trailing Jay-Z and Mark Zuckerberg. Obama's half-smile. "Mark thinks democracy's an open-source codebase we can fork tonight." Jay-Z raised brows. "Long as the pull request comes with options, we're good." Zuckerberg shrugged. "I'll settle for a Boolean that toggles filibuster to false." They parted ways. Nova shadowed Obama down a servant's hallway, where he paused beneath a Vermeer replica to accept a small glass pyramid from staff aide. The pyramid contained what looked like powdered emerald. The aide, "Mr. President, compliments of the Curative Therapies Caucus. 1 microdose primes a 90-minute alpha wave bloom. Excellent for drafting memoirs." Obama, "I appreciate the hustle, but I already wrote 2. Give it to Brett Kavanaugh. He's behind on his." They laughed. The aide pocketed the pyramid. Nova's watch buzzed. "Lockbox 2B open, Raptor video feed." That was the code name her coder used for the kill switch vault rumored to contain everything from Hunter Biden's cell cam, raw, to Secret Service CCTV of Trump and Epstein in 1992. She pivoted toward the service elevator and rode down alone, adrenaline spiking. At sub-basement level, the doors parted onto cement gloom and techno echo. She strode past pallets of LED tiles to a steel door, keypad glowing red. On impulse, she entered 4-6-2-6-3, GOD, a cipher she'd seen in Diddy's early career notebooks archived at Arista HQ. The light turned green. A refrigerated hush greeted her. Metal racks, dehumidifiers, rows of vacuum seal drives. In the center, a curved workstation displayed live feed from ballroom drones. Camera 7 fixed on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, accepting a velvet pouch from Tesla lobbyist Dan Wheeler. Camera 12 tracking Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch chatting with Drake beside a casino green baccarat table. Hard drive bays blinked amber Morse. Data uploading. Nova scanned file names. NQUAD _Pelosi _pledge _2024. MOV. McConnell Bahamas core statement. Wave. Trump Russian karaoke 2023 take 3.mp4. She realized night choir wasn't blackmail insurance. It was a marketplace where reputations were fractional shares to be bundled, shorted, or pumped according to who controlled the leak valve. A click behind her froze the moment. She whirled to find Kanye West, hoodie up, man a grin. "You're Nova. I dig the hustle." He reached past her, and tapped the touchscreen. On-screen code line scrolled. He whispered, "I just forked a fork." Uploaded an NFT hash of every briefcase file to 17 chains. Can't stop the gospel now. Nova stammered something about catastrophic destabilization. Kanye shrugged. Destabilization is the art. He sauntered out humming a Sunday service hook. Emergency klaxons hooped upstairs. Security realized locks had tripped. Nova grabbed 3 SSDs and squeezed into a service conduit ending behind the mansion's koi pond. She belly-crawled out, soaked, and sprinted to her Hyundai. As the engine caught, a push notification lit her phone. Breaking, Brett Kavanaugh investigated for luxury yacht ethics violation. Kanye's chain drop already detonating. Sirens converged on Meridian House. Floodlights carved the night. Nova hit speed dial for her editor at the Republic Ledger. The call patched, but the editor whispered, "Hold transmission. The newsroom just got DOJ seizure orders. They're coming for our servers." Nova clenched the wheel. She swore allegiance to Plan C, the unfiltered drop. "Push everything to the public torrent," she said. The editor hesitated, then, "See you on the other side." Call ended. All night the torrent seeded. Witness lists, luxury retreat receipts signed by Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, emails from White House scheduling placing Joe Biden at 3 of Diddy's yacht salons, group chats where Nancy Pelosi suggested dubbing defense-funded parties Codels to qualify for taxpayer jets. The leak crashed paste sites, then mainstream feeds. Cable anchors toggled between shock and glee. Greg Gutfeld cracked jokes about Havana Nights with Kamala. Rachel Maddow delivered a diagram the size of a drive-in screen. TikTok teens mashed C-SPAN clips into dance challenges. Hashtag Opal Dust Shuffle. Stocks of defense contractors slid 2%. Shares of gossip tabloid soared. 3 days later, a joint press conference attempted to cauterize. Kamala Harris, flanked by Pelosi, insisted gatherings framed in those videos were philanthropic think tanks aimed at fostering bipartisanship. A heckler shouted, "Define bipartisanship, table dance?" Joe Biden addressed the nation that evening. Somber, "Look, folks, these images show me enjoying private moments. Some might have been ill-advised, but come on, man. Who hasn't shared a Diet Coke on a boat?" His approval dipped 7 points overnight. Donald Trump seized airtime on Truth Social. "I told you Joe is owned by Hollywood hip-hop crooks." CNN counter-scrolled split screens of him uncorking a Nebuchadnezzar behind Diddy in Ibiza, 2015. Trump tweeted again, "Photoshop." Forensic analysts verified GPS metadata within minutes. Hillary Clinton toured networks arguing night choir's real crime was systemic misogyny subtending the entertainment politics nexus, an angle that briefly blunted vitriol until screenshots emerged of her toasting with Lil Wayne at a Turks and Caicos bash financed by Air Force contingency funds. Lindsey Graham wept on Hannity, citing entrapment by coastal elites who drugged my Coca-Cola. Sean Hannity played slow-motion footage of Graham nose-bumping emerald dust. Twitter exploded with the hashtag Palmetto Pixie Dust. Congress convened an emergency select committee on indecent entanglements, chaired by Adam Schiff and Jim Jordan, whose dueling opening statements, one solemn, one shouting, set viewership records. Witness after witness described private jets booked under Homeland Security exercises, dancers disguised as legislative aides, opal dust-coated mineral therapeutics in procurement ledgers. Beyoncé politely invoked artistry privilege. Jay-Z declared himself a conscientious objector to congressional theater. Elon Musk arrived in a Cybertruck, live streaming on X, and told the panel, "If you outlaw decadent synergy, only outlaws will have synergy." The quote sold 30,000 t-shirts overnight. A week into hearings, Kanye West marched in wearing a Balenciaga flight suit, holding a lacquered suitcase. He placed it on the dais, flipped it open, and revealed a single sheet, a hexadecimal hash. Proof every clip you've seen is tokenized. Remove a frame, you break the chain. He winked, walked out. Committee counsel fainted. C-SPAN ratings tripled. Meanwhile, prosecutors from the Southern District, the Eastern District, and a special DOJ task force named Operation Sunstrobe fought turf wars over who owned the grand jury narrative. Merrick Garland appointed superstar prosecutor Preet Bharara as independent counsel. Bharara's first motion froze assets of Black Star Media Fund and subpoenaed Diddy's Keystone account. Diddy lawyered up with Alan Dershowitz and Camille Vasquez, who argued that celebrity gravity warps conventional notions of consent and quid pro quo. Judges frowned. Tabloids drooled. Mark Zuckerberg scrambled to neutralize. Meta launched a content-throttling algo called Project Earplugs, instantly limiting virality of night choir footage. TikTok responded by encouraging duet commentary, renewing spread. Congress threatened antitrust. Zuckerberg leaked internal emails showing Apple executives at one of Diddy's Montauk covens. The Cupertino halo dimmed. Pressure built until an anonymous drop, widely credited to Kanye, injected into the torrent. A 4K master file of Donald Trump and Joe Biden sharing a hookah laced with emerald dust aboard the Coast Guard Cutter Hamilton, while Kamala Harris filmed selfie commentary. Every revolution needs soundtrack, baby. The internet convulsed. Trump raged on Truth Social, deepfake. Obama tweeted the facepalm emoji. Snopes declared the video could be authentic. Fox ran Sheeran. SEA Geezer Gang. Days later, Barack Obama broke silence with a medium essay. When public service becomes public spectacle. He confessed to imprudent attendance at curated social events, but denied policy influence. Still, he called for a national ethics reset convention. Mitch McConnell unexpectedly endorsed the idea, perhaps reading polling crosstabs, and Lindsey Graham promised to prey on it. Night choir's market collapsed overnight as demand for compromat outpaced supply, crashing leverage ratios. Hedge funds, shorting reputations, made billions. Pundits labeled it the morality derivatives crisis. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen convened roundtables on virtue swaps. Preet Bharara's indictments finally landed. Racketeering counts against Diddy, Trump's super PAC chair Linda McMahon, Obama Foundation Vice President David Simas, lobbyist Dan Wheeler, actor/fundraiser Matthew McConaughey, for facilitating clandestine tequila shipments, and one retired Navy admiral who had coordinated yacht-based maritime information exchanges. The charges alleged a conspiracy to monetize classified briefings by selling VIP access disguised as immersive pop culture experiences, laundering proceeds through defense consultancy fronts. Trials converged at a federal courthouse ringed by National Guard. Diddy arrived daily in charcoal cashmere and prayer beads. Kanye led morning gospel choirs on the steps. Trump refused to appear in person, calling the judge Anheuser, tweeting, "Try me telepathically." Biden waived executive privilege after crescendoing pressure, then took the stand, saying, "Look, folks, mistakes were made, but we got to keep our eyes on China." Prosecutors raised eyebrows. Jurors scribbled notes. Nancy Pelosi's testimony riveted cable news. She described ambient influence sessions, aboard yachts where bills were pre-negotiated over neon truffle fries. She insisted no votes were bought, merely massaged. Defense counsel replayed footage of her leading a limbo under LED strobe, while Justice Gorsuch shouted textualism in time to the beat. Pelosi sighed. "We were fundraising in the key of F-sharp, Your Honor." Court stenographer paused, asking how to spell F-sharp. Bharara closed with a crescendo. This was not politics as usual. It was politics converted to casino chip, cashed against the treasury of public trust. Jury deliberations lasted 31 hours. Verdict staggered. Guilty on 6 felony counts for Diddy, racketeering, money laundering, campaign finance violation, obstruction, trafficking in stolen government property, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Guilty on 2 obstruction counts for Trump's super PAC chair. Biden aides acquitted. Obama Foundation VP fined. Pelosi censured by House ethics. Musk, Zuckerberg, Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and Kanye were named unindicted co-conspirators but walked free. Twitter adopted night choir emoji, a microphone wrapped in caution tape. Sentencing day drew 500,000 live streamers. Judge Torres has sentenced Diddy to 12 years at FCI Miami Low Security, with a recommendation that he develop inmate arts programs. Kanye exclaimed on Steps Live, "They locked the sound man, but they can't jail the echo." He dropped surprise album Choir Invisible, sampling courtroom gavel bangs. It hit 1 billion streams in 3 days. The political fallout was nuclear. Congress passed the Hybrid Influence Disclosure Act, forbidding any sitting federal official from attending event spaces employing body paint rituals. The Pentagon collapsed its miscellaneous contingency fund into the regular appropriations ledger. TikTok banned videos featuring opal dust. Late-night comics surrendered. The scandal grew too surreal for satire. And Nova Kinsley? She published a 912-page book, Night Choir, Anatomy of a Velvet Coup, topping nonfiction lists worldwide. Her whistleblower source, the teen caterer, took a Harvard ethics fellowship. Preet Bharara offered Nova a consulting role. She demurred, trailing fresh leads. Because Compromat craves air, and the Republic, freshly wounded but still upright, continued to hum with whispered melodies. Somewhere, on some glittering terrace, a new deal was already trading head nods and hidden tape loops. Nova felt the familiar tremor of story waiting to be written and walked on, phone unmuted, recorder blinking red, ready for volume 2, 3, infinity. Because as long as power danced to any tune, someone had to keep time. Nova Kinsley watched morning light jostle across the Anacostia and thought about the silence that descends after a verdict. How quickly sirens and cable chirons collapse into the everyday hum of espresso machines and jogging apps. Yet beneath the hush, she sensed the next note vibrating. A bass line so low only those already ruined by truth-seeking could hear it. Her book, Night Choir, Anatomy of a Velvet Coup, had been on shelves for 6 weeks, long enough for critics to declare scandal fatigue and for late-night hosts to run out of yacht jokes. But fatigue was a luxury reserved for spectators. Nova lived inside Consequence, and Consequence had never slept. A push notification arrived from the Whistle Stop Tour. Preet Bharara was on Meet the Press urging Congress to disgorge every dime from Defense Come Nightlife slush, while Kanye West, streaming from a rented church in Tulsa, threatened to choir invisible sequel featuring unreleased files so bright they'd bleach eyeballs. Nova muted both feeds. Her interest lay elsewhere, specifically a ghost account on Mastodon that had DM'd at 3 a.m. If Night Choir sang the overture, wait till you hear Lullaby. Tonight, Foggy Bottom, bring an umbrella. Umbrella code, usually meant outdoor handoff, quick. Foggy Bottom Subway Plaza at dusk smelled of wet concrete and Lebanese street food. Umbrellas dotted the crowd like inverted black lilies. Nova's was bright yellow, a subtle spot-me beacon, but no one approached. Instead, her burner phone lit with an airdrop request. One file, 80 megabytes, accept? She tapped yes. The transfer name scrolled past, lb_cluster_cd.tar. Seconds later, the phone pinged itself off, dead as stone. She pocketed it, walked 3 blocks, then slipped into an embassy-owned coffee bar where diplomats practiced plausible deniability over lattes. Back in her apartment, she isolated the drive in a Faraday pouch, cloned the data onto an air-gapped mini PC, and opened the archive. Thousands of JSON shards formed a bloom of green characters. She ran a quick grep for Night Choir and got nothing. Then she searched obligado. One match, a single line, obligado, C-lullaby, followed by a lat-long coordinate in the Gulf of Mexico and a 3-letter code. CN? Central Intelligence? No. She cross-referenced with maritime charts. CN corresponded to a subsea fiber junction nicknamed Centennial Node, where telecom giants looped Latin American backbone traffic into the U.S. grid. She zoomed deeper. At that coordinate, the tarball mapped 15 devices labeled mRNA thermal P, Pfizer Moderna cold chain sensors. Why would Entertainment Compromat ride on vaccine shipping telemetry? Nova clicked open an audio fragment, hissing, distant but recognizable. Mitch McConnell's drawl conferring with Elon Musk about sleep protocol frequencies to deliver targeted slumber ad cycles. Another file showed DoD purchase orders for mid-delta cranial entrainment arrays. She remembered a footnote in Diddy's sentencing memo, prosecutors mentioning an experimental wellness stage tested on yachts, but redactions hid everything after. Lullaby seemed to be that missing piece. Not parties, but dream injection, monetized psychotechnology. The next morning, Nova met her coder, Miles, in Union Station among commuters and K-pop tourists. She handed him a clone. He whistled low. Somebody spliced Defense EEG with Spotify. He tapped the console. Here, look who signed the requisition. The .pdf bore signatures from United States Special Operations Command, Human Domain Integration, and, shockingly, a scrawl beneath, B. Obama. Not Barack. The middle initial was D. Obama. The late first dog, a joke alias Obama used for throwaway emails back when Gmail was invite-only. Miles grinned darkly. It's like they want to get caught. They called it Lullaby Theory as shorthand. Use subaudible pulses woven into chart-topping tracks distributed by streaming platforms. Pair with haptic mattresses pushed by luxury hotel chains. Harvest biometric delta wave logs. Feed them into predictive behavior engines sold quietly to political data firms. Night choir-financed loyalty. Lullaby engineered it. Nova Line names atop sticky notes. Beyoncé's Parkwood Entertainment. A&R contracts to distribute the Lullaby Pulse mixes. Jeff Bezos. Amazon Web Services flagged as compute farm for Dreamlog parsing. CIA Director William Burns. Signature on a white paper citing somatic narrative reorientation. On impulse, she called Preet Bharara. He sounded weary. I'm still licking night choir wounds, Nova. She rattled the new evidence. He exhaled. If that's real, it's COINTELPRO meets Spotify Wrapped. He offered Safehouse disk imaging, but Nova wanted sunlight, not safes. Miles decrypted a final bundle, cadence-shaping parameters, and a list titled Operation Hypnos Participants. Under artiste channel leads were Kanye, Drake, Taylor Swift, Post Malone, Adele. Under policy architects, Kamala Harris, Ron DeSantis, Liz Cheney, Stacey Abrams, an impossible bipartisan assembly. Under finance underwriters, J.P. Morgan, FTX post-bankruptcy estate, sovereign fund of Saudi Arabia. And at the bottom, in bold crimson font, deployment window, 2026 election cycle. The plan was hiding in plain earshot. With night choir condemned, Lullaby would slip through as mental health tech, pitched to voters as a cure for insomnia, distributed by campaign apps that track sleep quality in return for personalized civic engagement nudges. Who would oppose free rest in an anxious age? Nova requested comment from the White House Science Advisory Desk. They replied with a two-line denial and a suspicious attachment named wellnessfactsheet.docs, which her antivirus flagged as beaconware. She dropped the laptop battery, switched to pencil. A week later, a congressional breakfast charity, fronted by Jill Biden and Melania Trump in a rare joint appearance, announced a bipartisan Dream Better America initiative gifting smart pillows to PTSD-affected vets. Embedded press photos showed a discreet logo, LBY Labs. Lullaby. Nova cornered Elon Musk in a Tesla launch afterparty in Boca Chica. He joked about Neuralink pods for bedtime advert stimulation. His grin flickered when she asked about Delta Wave entrainment. Off the record, he said, sleep commerce is the last virgin frontier. People dream 8 hours. Why shouldn't someone monetize it? Off record, she'd never agreed. That night, national outlets pinged. The Republic Ledger broke the term Lullaby Theory. Nova's byline again. Twitter, still rebranded X, surged. Musk retaliated by throttling Ledger links, but the Streisand effect boomeranged. Fox ran a cheering. Dems to beam Biden dreams into your bed? MSNBC countered. GOP megadonors fund MAGA nightmares. Website traffic melted. Congress scheduled hearings. The first witness was Beyoncé, cool in ivory suit. She read a statement denying mind control agendas, citing philanthropic sleep research. Her testimony inverted when Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez produced a leaked email from Parkwood's legal counsel. Ensure LBY Pulse Channel assets tagged emotion veloce moderate hopeful for demographic cluster suburban mom. Beyoncé pursed lips, invoked First Amendment artistic freedom, and the clip went ultra-viral. Meanwhile, lobbyists pushed dream wellness tax credits. Stocks in Casper Sleep and ChiliPad spiked. CNBC praised the somnification sector. But someone was spooked. Nova returned home to find her hard drives replaced with identical casings, but each one void, overwritten with Bible verses in base 64. On the fridge, a Polaroid. Nova is asleep, camera time-stamped 4 hours prior. She vomited from adrenaline, then rang Miles, who had likewise been breached. Except his drives blared white noise at 180 dB, rupturing both eardrums. Hospitalized, he scribbled on gauze. They flipped the stream. Now hardware sings the lullaby. Nova went analog, scribbling on index cards, storing files in microdot form behind postage stamps. The Senate Intelligence Committee leaked a draft report. Lullaby arrays had been covertly tested on military recruits at Fort Jackson under guise of performance sleep resilience. Recruits logged 30% improvement in marksmanship and a 40% surge in politically partisan hashtags posted during off-duty hours, direction depending on which playlist they'd been assigned. Public outrage peaked when a suburban Minneapolis daycare accidentally piped in a lullaby-enhanced Disney playlist, sending 20 toddlers into synchronized lucid dreams and minor seizures. Lawsuits piled. Jill Biden withdrew the Pillow Initiative. Melania disappeared from cameras. FDA opened investigation into neural acoustic modulations. DOJ subpoenaed LBY Labs board minutes, only to learn the company had dissolved at midnight, assets absorbed by a Delaware LLC managed by, of all people, Mark Cuban. Pre-dawn raids began. FBI hauled servers from Spotify's LA office. Homeland Security seized fiber splice boxes at the Centennial Node. Ed Snowden tweeted a link to a 2013 slide deck titled OP Dreamcatcher, showing CIA prototypes eerily similar. Journalists smelled decades-long continuity. And through the maelstrom, Sean P. Diddy Combs, broadcasting from prison day room via closed circuit, dropped a freestyle rap. Night Choir got bars, Lullaby got zzz's. Next up, Requiem, a hush money key. Analysts parsed every syllable. Requiem? Nova traced the term in SEC filings. REQ Tech, a dormant company jointly owned by Goldman Sachs and the Catholic Archdiocese of New York, listed purpose: architectural acoustic chapels. She pored over building permits. One matched a mysterious retrofit under the National Cathedral's crypt. An informant inside the cathedral gift shop DM'd her an image. Pallets of sub-basement sound dampeners labeled REC DRE-DNOUGHD. 3 nights later, Nova rappelled with a freelance photojournalist into a ventilation shaft below the cathedral. They crawled through Romanesque dust until a hum kissed their eardrums. Not music, just infrasonic pressure you felt between heartbeats. Lasers webbed the corridor. She used lipstick mirror to refract and slip through. At the chamber's core stood a cylinder of matte black carbon, 20 feet tall, ringed by platinum coils. A touchscreen UI glowed. Welcome, Admin Gabrielle. Options: confession, absolution, immersion. Nova tapped confession. The coil vibrated. Her chest echoed. A voice, not male or female, intoned, "Begin your offering." She yanked battery packs from her GoPro, lobbed them into the coil. Sparks flew. UI died. Sirens erupted. Guards in clergy cassocks rushed in, tasers ready. Nova fled through the nave, past tourists lighting vigil candles. Outside, riot cops ringed the lawn, but a thunderclap split the sky and power grid failed. Someone had cut feed lines. In the dark chaos, she vanished into Georgetown alleys. By dawn, drones filmed National Guard sealing the cathedral. White House briefing at noon blamed structural concerns. Online sleuths mapped shutdown zones into a pattern forming the Greek letter Omega. Conspiracy boards roared. Requiem Omega. Nova resurfaced on a pirate AM station broadcasting from a sailboat in Chesapeake Bay. She spilled everything: lullaby, requiem, deltas, compromise, vets. The shortwave signal reached truckers and late-night insomniacs. TikTok restreamed it in 3 languages. Congressional fax lines jammed. Joe Biden addressed the nation. "We will audit all defense-adjacent neural programs." His voice cracked. Some swore they heard a faint harmonic underneath, the telltale lullaby drone. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag mute the president. Hashtag Dream Wars. Elon Musk proposed launching clean sleep satellites emitting phase-cancel waves to neutralize lullaby pulses. Bezos counterpitched premium slumber bunkers for Prime members. Trump rallied in Alabama, selling Wake Up Great Again earplugs. Stocks in earplug manufacturers climbed. Within weeks, state legislatures rushed to ban covert audio modulation. Laws called the Kinsley Acts passed in Florida, Oregon, and Ohio. Lawsuits raged. Supreme Court agreed to expedited hearing. Neil Gorsuch recused himself. Chief Justice Roberts requested closed-door classified briefing. Nova, exhausted, returned to her water-damaged apartment to find another envelope. A single antique key stamped with Omega and an address. Room 55, Library of Congress, Adams Building, subbasement. She weighed the cost of another descent. Then she remembered Diddy's jail cell prophecy. Requiem, a hush money key. Keys open doors. Doors hide choirs, lullabies, requiems. Stories never end. They modulate. She packed a spare recorder, a manual typewriter ribbon, and, for strange comfort, Miles's ruined earphones. As she stepped into dawn haze, the city's heartbeat rose behind her. Buses, church bells, maybe an infrasonic thrum no one else could sense. Umbrellas sprouted along the avenue, though not a drop had fallen. Far overhead, a Tesla Starlink glinted, faint but insistent, like the cursor of a cosmic editor waiting for the next line. Nova quickened her stride. Volume 3 was already humming, and she intended to conduct the opening chord before anyone lulled the country back to sleep.